What it is, y'all? Robyn Dixon. I'm impressed. I underestimated your game because Robyn is a hothead. I was expecting Robyn to kind of unleash, but she gaming too. I wasn't expecting her to game. I was like, this is gonna be Sheree 2.0, but Robyn in here, and Robyn that round table. I'm excited to see how she plays the rest of her time here and how far she gets there because Robyn, I was impressed. I was impressed. She started episode for me. But if y'all are new here, please subscribe. Shout out to y'all that watched the recap last night. Please make sure to thumbs up the video. Let's try and keep them video. Let's try and get the likes matching the comments. The comments be commenting. But keep doing that as well. But keep thumbsing up the video. That helps so much. I want to get more and more people over here so we can talk about the season because it looks like it's going to be good. I'm very, very excited. I just finished rewatching episode 2. I watched episode 2 this morning. I started watching it last night, but I fell asleep. But I watched it this morning. I'm probably going to try and get episode 3 out tonight because it is 7:53 right now. I might be able to get it out tonight. But yeah, let's go. All right, so we get back to seeing Rob getting put back in his cage. Obviously, he's ready for revenge on the house because they decided to not bring him in, but he's coming in anyways, and he's coming in as a traitor. But the two new players, we find out the two new players, who they are. They're unhooded, and it's Pig-Nosed Derek, the Big Brother 16 winner. He's a good game player. I'm not a fan of him. I'm just not a fan of him. But he is a good game player. Like, I respect his game. As a game player, I enjoy the way he plays the game. He just ain't my favorite. But I can respect it. Wes, also, don't fuck with him. Like, I don't. But also a very, very entertaining game player. Even though the way he was on House of Villains, how he lost, embarrassing. Embarrassing. But these are two heavy hitters to come in with Rob, who is also a heavy hitter. So this is looking good. It's going to get real interesting to see these Titans, these three, up against Danielle, up against Tony, up against Jeremy. That's going to make some good showdowns. Like, we're going to see some good showdowns. But immediately, the three of them have respect for each other. They know who each other is. They know they're all gamers. They agree it's best to pretty much stick together at this point. They're going to eventually come to blows. But they know at this point it's best for the three of them to come in and stick together because when everybody else knows that they're entering the game, they're going to have targets on their head, A, because they're new, but B, because three of these, I mean, most people that are in the game are probably going to know who they are. So they know that, and they're expecting that. But Derek, he wanted to come in as a traitor. He's a faithful. So now he has to figure out how he's going to maneuver and navigate that because he's now being hunted, and he's just looking forward to figuring out how to play the game. Wes's bitch ass is always confident, as always, but Danny, Bob the Drag Queen, and Carolyn, we get back to them where they're kind of weighing out their options on who to murder. And Danielle wants to think 20 steps ahead. And Carolyn says that's not how the game is played. Like, you can't do it. Y'all know Danielle is my number one. She's the one I'm rooting for the most in this game. But I agree with Carolyn. This game is not a game that you can really think 20 steps ahead. You got to really take it day by day at this point. Like, you got to think what's the best move to make right now. Because if you think it too far ahead, you might not even get there. And then you might overplay your hand. But Danielle is saying Carolyn's all over the place and it's kind of sporadic. That is true, but when it comes to strategy right now, I'm shocked. I'm shocked that I'm saying this, but right now she's looking like the most, dare I say it, smart trader right now. Crazy. I can't believe I'm saying it, but it's true. But Carolyn is saying, like, this isn't a game to play 20 steps ahead, and her and Danny are pretty much going back and forth. And she also says, like, you haven't played this game. Like, you've played Big Brother, but you ain't played this game. And I'm like, you low-key right, but you got to play it out week by week, like I said. But Danielle ends up saying that you have to think about the repercussions that you might possibly have due to the decisions that you make. And that is true, but you can't think too far ahead. But Bob loves the fact that they can't agree on anything. Obviously, that makes good TV. He's eating it up, too. But Sam, Bob Harper, Ayan, Dorinda, Dolores, and Robyn, obviously, they're up for murder. So we're trying to figure out what they're trying to figure out. Who they're going to murder. They all come to the agreement that they want a housewife gone. So Bob wants to frame somebody once they murder one of the housewives and thinks the best option and the best person to frame would be Ivar and thinks it would be a good time to do it by killing Dorinda because obviously the two of them just got into it. Danielle obviously agrees. Carolyn does not feel like Dorinda is the best person to kill because it's too obvious. And I agree with that as well. Like, that's too obvious. If she's thinking of it the way I would be thinking of it, keeping Dorinda around as somebody who's very boisterous, she kind of already done ruffled a couple people's feathers. It makes sense to keep her around as a shield that you can throw. If the heat comes to you, throw the heat back to Dorinda because Dorinda already got people looking at her anyways. I would keep Dorinda around as long as I can as a shield, which is what Carolyn's thinking, which makes sense. But she wants Robyn. Carolyn wants Robyn. I'm like, okay, I guess I can see it. But Danielle said Dorinda and Dolores won't kill each other, but they would kill Robyn. And if they kill Robyn, they can blame it on Dorinda. So she's kind of like weighing out Carolyn's options. And they also state, too, that Dolores has the most street smarts out of all the housewives and would be a danger in that round table, a.k.a. if it comes to push to shove, when it comes to Dolores, she's going to be able to out-talk whoever she needs to out-talk. And they come to the agreement that it's between the three of them. Dorinda, Dolores, and Robyn. Obviously, Ayan, she might make it. She might be the charade. I thought she was going to be an early boot, but watching how ditzy she is and how she really don't know what's going on, it'd be stupid to kill her. Like, keep her around because she's not going to figure anything out. But they agree it's between the three of them, and they agree to watch each other's back, and they go ahead and sign off the first murder letter. Breakfast time. This is the fun time. My favorite times is round table, but I love breakfast time too because you get to see everybody coming in. You get to see how everybody reacts, so that's the fun part. But the first four to come in was Chrishell, Gabby, Jeremy, and Tony. They're the first ones in. They're safe. They made it through the night. Gabby's excited for the food, and she also loves talking shit. That's what she's excited about. She wants to do that and get the tea. Chrishell ends up asking them to fill her in on the shit that happened with Dorinda and Ivar. And they were like, she was coming in guns blazing, like with that I don't give a fuck energy, that energy that we know that she has, but also that could be her playing it up as a traitor. So they're like, okay, we can see what's going to happen. In walks Sandoval, Ciara, Carolyn, and Dylan. They come in next. Tony immediately asked them, like, there's 8 people out here. Who do y'all think is a traitor? They're like, damn, can we eat first? Like, you just coming in guns blazing asking us. But Ciara ends up saying, Tony, who do you think? Like, basically, you asking us. You don't want to sit here asking people, who do you think? And he ends up saying Dorinda, and he thinks, well, he says, I'm scared of her. Like, she kind of get me off like she a gangster, like she a mobster, so I'm kind of scared to be on her wrong side. But the next group that comes in is Nikki, Britney, Ivar, and Wells. Nikki, she's excited to obviously see her girls, Chrishell and Gabby sitting there. They're a trio. And Nikki ends up asking everybody who they think was murdered. And Sandoval says if he was a traitor as a housewife, he would murder a housewife, basically to get the scent off of them as housewives being a traitor. That's obvious, though. I feel like most people would expect that, but he's not wrong. But Bob, Harper, Chanel, Ayan, and Danielle, they come in next. And Danielle's feeling like her acting is on par. She playing it up. And everybody essentially thinks that she is a faithful. At this moment in time, they do. And it's true. It is working. But Chanel, Ayan, and Wells, they're sitting over there bonding. He wanted her to stay because he thinks she is the best. She don't stop talking. That's a shield for him. Ayan's being her dramatic self, saying that she couldn't sleep at night because she didn't want to get murdered, yada, yada, yada. Bob, the drag queen, and Sam come walking in next. And Bob's being his overdramatic self. It's expected. He is a drag queen, so I'm expecting that. So I don't think anybody's really suspecting him as doing too much. But eventually it could end up being doing too much. But the 3 housewives that are left are the only ones left. So one of the 3 of them is going to be murdered, which is Robyn, Dolores, and Dorinda. The knock happens. Guess who comes walking in? Dolores and Robyn. Dorinda was murdered. I was pissed. Because I want the most entertaining one still there to the end. Dorinda, I didn't want getting touched. She was the one housewife that I did not want getting touched. And she got touched first. I'm pissed. But most people were shocked about her getting murdered. They do the flashback to when the traitors decided to murder her. And Carolyn, she was dead set on wanting to use Dorinda as a shield, but she ended up folding. But Dorinda, she gets her letter. She reads it. She can't believe she was murdered. She's disappointed, as am I. But Dolores, we get back in there, and she's upset, obviously, because that's her girl. And she felt like she lost her too early. You did. But she also says that Dorinda's never been the type to spare her thoughts. Pretty much, she's very blunt. She's going to say what she wants to say. And Robyn said that's why she's gone. It's true. But Alan, he walks in pretty much confirming Dorinda's death. Bob and Danielle, they sitting over there, and I'm talking about Bob, the drag queen. They sitting over there crying. They playing up the dramatics. Just playing it up. Looking hella dramatic, though. But Bob ends up saying, like, he's not really acting. Like, he's crying because he is sad that she's gone, but he's leaning into it as well to make himself look innocent, make himself look like a faithful. But Carolyn is like, they over here being a little bit too extra with these tears. And I'm like, I guess, but, like, to a certain degree, it's like they playing it up. They doing what they supposed to do. Nobody's really looking at them crazy in this moment. But I get where she's coming from, too, though. But Gabby is whispering to Chrishell about her suspicions with Ivar, considering the fact that Dorinda just got sent home. She just got murdered and is literally on the heels of her and Ivar getting into it. But she don't want to spread rumors, but she kind of looking at him sideways. Danielle, she says her gameplay for the day is to put the blame on somebody that is not a traitor, obviously. But they disperse from breakfast. Robyn is asking Jeremy and Sam who they think are the traitors. And Jeremy says, I think it's one of the Bobs. Robyn immediately shuts that down. She's like, it's not Bob the drag queen. I don't think he's an option. She then says, what do you think of Wells? I was like, oh. Robyn said, I got my eyes on Wells because he's appearing very uncomfortable. And Sam says, like, if he's a traitor, he's a terrible one because whenever we left or whenever we was in that round table after the traitors were selected, when they removed the blindfolds, his face was red. And it's like, okay, that's obvious. But Danielle and Dylan, they're walking off and she's telling him that she knows in her gut that a housewife is a traitor and they would kill each other off, or at least kill one of each other off to throw the scent off of each other. And she says she feels like it's Dolores, and Dylan says he feels like it's Robyn. Danielle says, yeah, because she was sitting over there eating like it was no big deal. I was like, I'd have been just like Robyn. I'd have been throwing down. When food is in front of me, I don't care what's going on. But Dylan said that he trusts Danielle more than anybody in the game. I was loving it. Love to hear it. Love to hear it. And we find out they're both Aquariuses, so that's essentially what he's basing his trust off of. But Robyn, she's walking into the room where Wells, Jeremy, Nikki, Tony, and Carolyn are. She sits down and says, so why did you kill Dorinda? Talking to Wells. I started laughing. They started laughing. And Wells says it's the dumbest move in the world because a lot of people were saying her name. And Robyn's like, I think it would be a smart move. And he says, why? Like, if you're a traitor, they're already doing the dirty work for you. So why would you take out the most obvious person? I get where he's coming from. But Robyn says it's smart because it's causing confusion because, say Danielle got murdered, none of us would be wondering why they picked Danielle. She's playing it up to her. Like, what Robyn's thinking, she's playing it up, and she's playing it up well. So I'm like, I get where Wells is coming from, but Robyn is playing her position the way she's supposed to play it. But Wells says, if you're a traitor, you kill off people that wouldn't already be killed, which is true. But Wells is looking at Robyn funny for defending the traitor's decision and pretty much picking at him, making him an option. He's like, she's looking suspicious because the traitors just killed her off, and she's sitting here saying it's a smart move. So, I mean, I get where he's coming from, but I'm about to take a moment so I can cough. All right, so they head off for the mission, and they go ahead and meet Alan in the woods. There's 3 cages hanging up above them, and Alan lets them know what's up here is 3 new players. They're like, oh, fuck, more people? I'm like, y'all should know at least one of them people is Boston Rob. But he unhoods them, and the first person that's revealed is Derek. Danielle is excited. She loves Derek. She respects his game. Obviously, she's excited. That's a number for her. Don't fully trust him, though, Danielle. I'm telling you, don't do it, man. But Derek, he don't really trust Britney. Danielle, he loves Danielle. He respects her. She's a legend in the game of Big Brother. He says she is the best player to never win Big Brother. That is a fact. 25 seasons of Big Brother. And it's still true. She is the best to have never won. But she's letting it be known that she wants to work with him. And she's letting it be known to the people. As she says to all of them, he's a cop. I'm like, ooh. But Britney, she don't want him in the game. I don't want him in there either. I wouldn't want him in there either if I was in the game. But Wes, he's revealed next. He's sitting there saying the housewives probably don't know who he is. But everybody else is probably scared of him. Carolyn can't stand his ass. And I'm like, I'm right there with you. You got good taste. But Rob is revealed next. And most of them are laughing, especially Jeremy. Jeremy knows essentially he's in this game now. We're Survivor strong. We got to stick together. Because everybody's going to be looking at us as schemers anyway. So why not all band together and have numbers at least halfway through the game? But Rob, he's ready for revenge. He's expecting them to come for him. And he's like, I'm shooting at everybody. But Alan, he ends up saying that they all will enter the game today as faithfuls or a traitor. You just don't know which one it is. And each will have a shield that they can give to a player of their choosing. They can only do it if the rest of them finish the mission, which is to lower them down from where they are and release them in time. But they have to do it within 20 minutes. There's sacks of gold all around, and they're up to $100. I think $100 a bag. And that's for the prize pot as well. So what they have to do is deposit the coins into the collectors. And as they do it, the cage starts to get lowered down all the way to the ground, obviously. But the more money that they're adding, the more it'll get down. But the only players that are released within the 20 minutes of the time that you're given can give out their shields. So the objective is to get everybody down so more people can get shields. But they begin. Most people initially are choosing Rob. Obviously, they're trying to kiss up to him because they know he's coming into the game. Nobody chose to bring him in, so it's best to go ahead and play that role up. Dylan, he grew up watching Boston Rob play Survivor. I feel like most people that watch game shows have. And he wants him as an ally. He knows it's probably better to work with him early in the game than to work against him. But Jeremy and Nikki, they're putting theirs in on Rob. Gabby and Nikki are pretty much kind of like trying to kiss ass, trying to get back in his good graces. He's peeping it. And he really don't give a fuck. But he's noticing that he's getting all the money first. Sandoval is the first person to put money in Derek's, and he started running off all unathletically and looking all dramatic that he was doing. I'm like, this, I can't stand him. But Britney, she puts her money in Derek's. I'm thinking strategy. I'm like, she doing this to get in his good side. But Derek said it don't really matter who's putting anything in his. I may or may not have your back. I may or may not repay the favor. We know. But Danielle is helping Derek, obviously. He's appreciative of that. That seems to be a connection that could possibly work. I don't trust Derek, but for the moment, as long as you got Danielle's back, I'm cool with it right now. But she said she wanted to play the game with him. She said if there's anybody that she wanted to play the game with, it's him because he is a genius. Like I said, I don't like him, but the truth is the truth. He is a very, very smart person and a very, very good game player. So it's best to work with him. But Bob Harper, he's noticing that nobody's putting their money in Wes's. And Wells goes and puts it in because he knows who he is and knows he will be a great ally and he wants his shield. So Chanel Ayan, she comes up and starts asking Wes, what do you do? He said, I'm from the challenge and I'll help you win games. She said, okay, put the money in there. But they got 5 minutes left. And Rob is down first. Derek is next. And Wes is the last one. They all got him down before the time was lapsed. So we find out that they won $15,000 that they added to the pot. Now that they've gotten them down, the 3 shields are now available. And Chrishell, she's worried. She's worried about the 3 of them coming in because she knows they're gamers. And she don't know if they're faithful or a traitor. So it's like we letting in 3 new people that are very, very smart game players that could possibly be traitors. So it's going to make it a little bit harder for them if they don't figure out if they're a traitor or not. But Alan, he ends up letting them know again that they can gift their shields, but it'll be after the round table, which I think is smart and I think is cool. But the 3 of them are immune from banishment as well immune from murder. So we get to at least see them play at least 1 full day. But they won't get to vote at the round table as well. But they all head off home. Tony's excited. He wants to play the nice guy role because he knows the 3 of them are gamers. These 3 are probably going to be good to add to his repertoire. So that's where he's thinking at this moment in time. But back at the castle, they're showing the 3 around the house. Robyn said, I ain't kissing nobody's ass. I ain't never been that. I agree. But Dolores and Sandoval, they're taking the 3 around, showing them to the room where they have all the pictures up. They're letting them know Dorinda is the one that just got sent home. Sandoval is pretty much telling them that he feels good about Carolyn and he feels good about Bob the Drag Queen, which is interesting because they're both traitors. But he also feels that Chrishell and Jeremy are acting strange. Wes is sitting there trying to take it all in, trying to get as much information as he can to kind of make his decision. But Dolores, she's pretty much saying that everybody is targeting Housewives, essentially. They think we're the traitors and points out the girl trio, which is Nikki, Gabby, and Chrishell, about them being close. Britney and Rob, they're talking to Chrishell and Danielle, and Rob's pretty much trying to get caught up on shit too, and Danielle is worried. She's worried about him being in this game. And she said what I told y'all in the cast analysis. She knows she got to get him out immediately. She knows she got to get him out. I told y'all, they going to be like this. They're going to be like this. But we'll find out later on. But Britney, she says that they need to get their heads together and figure out who is the traitor. I said, you don't realize, but two of them are sitting next to you. I was about to say one, but two. But Tony, Ciara, Jeremy, Dylan, and Bob Harper, they're in the kitchen eating, talking about wanting to hone in on one particular person as a traitor. And Robyn is walking around trying to pick Gabby's brain. And Gabby ends up throwing out Ivar's name as one of the traitors because him and Dorinda just got into it, so it would make sense. Derek and Danielle, they're walking down the stairs. She's talking about, I'm so glad you're here. I need a shield. Like, I need a damn shield. And Derek's like, okay, why? She takes him into the room, and she's like, I'm going to tell you. He then asks her, like, how are you and Britney doing? Because he already knows, being a Big Brother alum, that they just played reindeer games, and they already left on bad terms. And he's asking if they're good or whatever. And she's like, if Britney is a traitor, if she ain't a traitor, they going to kill her. Talking about, they going to kill me, talking about Danielle, and pin it on Britney because of our history. And Derek agrees that would be an easy move. But Danny said that she needs a shield. He said, say less, it's you and me. We'll get to it. But Jeremy and Bob, the drag queen, they're in the room talking. Bob is picking Jeremy's brain, and Jeremy ends up saying, like, the group that he was in the kitchen with was throwing out Wells' name. And Bob says, yeah, it's like some type of coldness, like something changed when we left the round table. Jeremy also agrees. Dylan, he's in the room talking to Wells about Sandoval saying that the Housewives will want to kill a housewife. Wells then brings up Robyn's name, especially because she just came for him earlier in the day saying that she felt, whenever he said that he felt like it was a dumb move to kill Dorinda, she was pretty much on board and agreeing with what the Traitors was doing. And he's like, she's now high up on my list as a traitor, but I'm paranoid. Essentially, I'm probably going to end up going with what the group says to save my ass, but I'm looking at her as a traitor. Tony knows this round table coming up is about to get crazy. And he's talking about how weird and kind of nervous he is. It's like a nervousness that he ain't ever felt before because it's going to be a little bit different. Like you basically at jury in court. That's pretty much what the round table kind of gives. But it's time for the round table. This is my favorite part. This is where all the drama happens. We get ready to go on in there. Carolyn, she's worried. She's like, I might not say too much. She's like, I might not say enough to look like a faithful, but I'm going to just speak when I need to speak. I said, that's smart. Don't say too much. Don't draw too much attention to yourself. But also don't sit back too quiet, which then makes you look suspicious. But Wells, he's hoping to get Robyn out. That's his objective coming in here. Bob wants to enjoy and I'm talking about Bob the drag queen, wants to enjoy the chaos. He wants to get it started. He wants to get it cracking, but he wants to enjoy the chaos, obviously. As would I. Like, this is what you look forward to, especially us watching it as fans. That's what we look forward to. But being there in the moment, seeing it uncut, I'd be eating that shit up. But Alan, he comes in and it's time. He says the floor is yours. Nobody wants to speak immediately. Bob said, somebody got to say something. Robyn said, then go for it. I said, exactly. But Bob said, I'm going to say this. And this is the drag queen. Bob says, I'm going to say this name. It's random. It's a wild accusation to make. But sometimes the behavior is weird. Wells, he said, me? He said, what about my behavior has been strange? I've tried being friends with everybody, trying to be cool, talking to everybody. Bob says, before we came in the room, before they did, she said, before we came in the room and after we came in the room, talking about whenever they made the Traitors, it just seems a little bit different. Bob Harper ends up saying, I ain't see no difference in him. Robyn says, I noticed a shift in his demeanor. And after Dorinda was murdered, he was talking about how stupid it was to make that decision to send her out. And after I said, talking about Robyn, and she said, after I said it was brilliant, he was uncomfortable and left. He cuts her off and says, yeah, I was, but I want to defend myself. And he says that the second that he said it, he saw how people got uncomfortable. And Dolores says, so you basically feel like you put a price tag on your back, pretty much saying like you done made yourself a target. And he says, yes. Bob the drag queen says, so who are some of these people that you saw look uncomfortable? He says, and Robyn's looking like, yeah, I don't know, you about to say me. And he says, Robyn and Sam. And Robyn says, you think that we're traitors because of that? And he says, y'all were defensive. She said, I wasn't. She said, I just said something. I just said that that's something that a traitor would say. And she starts smirking. Robyn been smirking the whole time. It was cracking me up. But she says Does anybody else have any suspicions that they want to hash out? Because nobody's really saying anything. Sandoval then decides to talk. Mr. Crash Out. I'm like, let's see how he handles this if it gets thrown back on him. He acted the way I knew he would. But he starts talking about how he was the first person to take his mask off after the traitors were selected, and he saw Chrishell acting strange as well as Jeremy. Chrishell asks to respond whenever he's finished talking, and he says, sure, go ahead. She says, I told you before we even hit the round table that your ex and me, we're cool. We're friends. We had a conversation. I thought we was good. And moving forward, I was like, okay, we're not going to make it awkward. He starts cutting her off, and she says, it's my turn now. I let you talk. It's my turn. I said, ooh, here we go. And she says, the look that you made, like raising your eyebrow, you made me uncomfortable. And the minute that we got out of that round table after they selected the traitors, you immediately started throwing my name around. In Sandoval fashion, he starts slick tweaking out. Tells him, I started asking questions. Chrishell said that's the traitor's job. The traitor's job is to cause chaos. And the person that was throwing out the most names causing chaos was you. I said, ooh, get him. And he looked like he was about to start crying. I'm like, Tom, like, get a poker face. Like, it was just so clear. Like, he looked so guilty. But Bob says that Bob the drag queen, says that I'm going to start calling Bob the drag queen the queen. And I'm going to start calling Bob Harper. Because the Bobs, it's too much. But the queen says that he applauded Sandoval because it's kind of scary to throw names out. Like, start throwing people's names out so early, it's kind of scary. Ciara ends up saying Ivar was the one to get into it with Dorinda. And if a traitor is thinking of retaliation, that would have been the moment to do it. Pretty much saying, like, I'm looking at him. Dolores ends up saying that she thought it was him, too, because of Dorinda. Like, she got murdered, and if I was a cop, I'd go to the last person that they had a disagreement or a problem with. I said, yeah, that's true. She made a good point, which goes back to what they said. Street smarts, she's showing it. She flexing it. Danielle, she asked to say something. I'm like, oh, shit, here we go. Do not say nothing too crazy, Danielle. But she ends up saying, we all essentially think a housewife is a traitor. Ayan sitting there looking confused. But Danielle says it seems that a traitor would take someone close to them out to deflect from the housewives essentially being targets as traitors. And she says, I've been looking at two people. She looks at Dolores and Robyn. She says, Dolores, I don't think you're a traitor, but Robyn, I don't know about you. Robyn says, the perfect traitor move is to vote off a housewife, and nothing I've done should make anybody think that I'm a traitor. Dylan says that he trusts the other housewives more than he trusts Robyn because he hasn't really talked to Robyn. Ciara says also she jumped off the boat, and it makes you wonder if her doing that, she did that because she already knows she's safe because she's a traitor. Robyn doubles down and says, I'd make that decision of jumping off that boat 10 times more. I love the fact that she was sitting there standing in her convictions. Like, she was standing in what she was doing. Her not folding and being consistent and also keeping her cool. That kind of, to me, I was impressed with the way Robyn was handling herself. Because normal Robyn, if you watched her on Potomac, Robyn got a short fuse. She feel like her back is up against the wall. She gonna start swinging for real. And she maintained her calmness. I was like, okay, Robyn, I like this energy. But Wells says, why would you get out of the boat 10 times out of 10 if you don't need a shield? And Robyn said, that's just who I am. He says, that's convenient because we're playing the game. She said, you could try and throw that out there. That's fine. He says, but you can accuse me. She said, I wasn't accusing you. She said, there was just things that were off with you and we don't really have much to go off of. And that was enough for me. Robyn was throwing it back at him. They was going back and forth. Wells ends up throwing Britney into it, asking her what she thinks. Britney, they pan the camera over to Britney and that mouth is wide open. She like, she don't know what to do. And Robyn said, don't nobody got nothing to say? Like, y'all scared to talk? She said, yeah, I'm scared to talk. But Carolyn says, like, we all going around the table kind of pissed at each other. And Ciara said, no, we just want y'all to start naming somebody. Exactly. Because a lot of y'all sitting here just sitting back, letting everybody else do the talking. Which is smart, but, like, is it really smart? But they start talking all over each other. Everybody's talking over each other. But Harper ends up saying that the traitors are loving this right now. They loving the fact that we all got this dissension. We don't know what's going on. Danielle sitting over there shaking her head. Yes, I thought that was so funny. But Robyn sitting over there smirking too. But Alan says the time to talk is over. It's time to vote. So they start voting. We get to revealing the votes. Nikki is the first one. She votes Chanel Ayan. Everybody's shocked. I'm shocked too. I'm like, this is a burn vote, but like, interesting. She says she thinks that she's beauty and brains. Like, she thinks everybody's underestimating Ayan. I mean, I see where you're coming from, Nikki, but no. She don't know what the fuck is going on. But Sam voted for Wells because you was basically saying it was me. Ivar votes for Dolores because he thinks it's a housewife. Obviously, he would choose her because she already done put his name out there. Ayan votes for Tony. Harper votes for Ivar. Dolores voted for Ivar, obviously, because of the conversation with Dorinda. The argument with Dorinda. And also, Dorinda's hurt. It would just make sense. But Wells voted for Robyn, obviously. Danielle voted for Robyn, obviously, because she feels like she's a housewife that is a traitor. Gabby voted for Robyn. Jeremy voted for Wells. So at this point, it's Robyn 3 to Wells' 2, as well as Ivar's 2. Dolores, Ayan, and Tony have 1. Sandoval ends up voting for Jeremy and starts apologizing like a bitch. Chrishell ends up voting for Sandoval, and she threw some shade, boy. She said, traitors have to lie and cheat easily, and I know you know how to do that. I know you possess those skills. I said, the shade. But Tony votes for Wells. The queen, Bob the drag queen, ends up throwing some shade too. He voted for Ivar. It says, because everybody kept saying it was too obvious, which would make it a perfect crime, because if anybody can keep a secret, it's a royal. I said, ooh. But Robyn ends up voting for Wells, obviously. Britney voted for Jeremy because she ain't have nowhere else to go. I said, you could have burnt on one of the ones that was popular. But I mean, I guess. Ciara voted for Ivar. Dylan voted for Robyn. So at this point, it's Robyn, Ivar, and Wells that have 4 votes. And the last vote is Carolyn, who is a traitor. So it's up to her. She ended up voting for Wells. And Robyn sitting there smiling, obviously, because she knows she good. I said, that was Carolyn using Robyn as a shield. Because Robyn, out of the 2 of them, I feel like most people are looking at Robyn more so as a traitor. And it would make more sense to keep her around because that you can use that as a decoy. That's essentially what she was wanting to do with Dorinda, which she's now being able to execute with Robyn. And Robyn, I underestimated your game, mama. It's like, she doing it. Like, Robyn is doing it. I'm rooting for Robyn now. But Wells, he comes forward. Bob the Queen is telling Tony, I don't think it's him. I'm like, why'd you say that before he got up? I'm like, I don't know why you would say that before he got up. But Danielle's sitting there crying. Gabby's comforting her. Wells starts faking him out because he's starting to clap. Like, y'all did it. Y'all got a traitor out there looking like, what the fuck? But he ends up saying, like, my final words is playing the smart game isn't always the smartest. And I'm a faithful. Everybody like, damn. Robyn said, I hate this game. But Alan ends up saying that the murder will happen. There are 3 shields up for grabs. He'll see those that are not murdered at breakfast. And they head back into the house. Robyn is relieved to have escaped by the skin of her teeth because that's literally what it is. But she's disappointed that she was off on Wells. But Bob and Ivar is saying that he's not taking it personal with Bob the Queen pretty much targeting him. Ayan's crying because Wells, she already knew Wells was innocent. And he was nice to her and he was teaching her about the game and everything. Derek ends up saying that Robyn had some fun tonight. Pretty much saying like she was in there, you was in there swinging for your life. And she's sitting there laughing like I wasn't nervous at all. She didn't look nervous if you was asking me. Like she was handling it. But Dylan ends up telling Robyn and Ayan in another room that somebody put the agenda on Wells. And he initially thought it was Robyn. But if it's not her, he's thinking it's Bob the drag queen. I said, oh shit. One of the traitors finally got some heat on him. Already, this is episode 2. Robyn says, you know what, you right. Because he's going from person to person to see what they're going to do. Or at least seeing what they're saying so that he can execute what he just did. I said, uh-oh. But Dylan says, if it's genuinely not you, we need to start looking at Bob the drag queen. And Wes ends up pulling Boston Rob, and says on a scale of 1 to 10, where are you at with who you wanted to give your shield to? Because I wanted to give mine to Wells, but now I'm like at a 1. I don't know what I'm going to do right now. Rob pretty much mentions Tony and Jeremy. Obviously, like those are 2 people that come from the same franchise that he did. But they disperse. Britney and Danielle, they sitting there talking about the shields and stuff, pretty much saying like they don't have to give out the shield in broad daylight. They can do this shit in secret. As they saying that, the other 3, they dispersing, trying to figure out who they want to give it to. Boston Rob ends up giving his to Tony because he wants to build trust with the people that he already knows so that whenever he slits their throat, They won't see it coming. He's like, that's ruthless. I'm like, yeah, and I love it. I love every bit of it. He pulls Tony and gives it to Tony. Tony's geeked, obviously, because he knows he's safe. But Derek ends up giving his to Dylan to build trust with him, even though he knows Danielle and Britney wanted it. Which I'm interested in seeing how that's going to happen. Now that Danielle especially didn't get one from him, I wonder if that's going to make her look at Derek funny. Because essentially he low-key kind of promised to her that he was going to give it to her. But West ends up giving his to Jeremy because he knows Survivor is strong. I might as well get in with the strong team right now. At the very least, be over here with them where they can look out for me. He's like, if Jeremy gets it, he can trickle around like West done gave me the shield. Pretty much put in a word good for him. And nighttime. It's time for nighttime. It's time for the traitors to go link up to go do their murder. The three that know that they're traitors are in there. They're happy. A Faithful's gone. Bob is talking about how he was pretty much in charge at the round table, but he fears that the three new guys are going to come in trying to take over the shit. Because the three of them are pretty alpha males. They are pretty much going to try and do that. And he's looking like, okay, they're probably going to be looking at me because I was pretty much controlling that round table. As they're discussing, guess who's coming in? Boston Rob. He unhoods himself. They shook, but Danielle is pissed. And you can tell, like, she is not for it. And Rob is sitting there laughing. I'm about to watch episode 3 right now. I don't know if I'm going to get on the camera tonight because I'm tired of talking already. Because I done worked all day and I'm tired. But y'all might see me tonight. But if you don't see me tonight, you're going to see me tomorrow. But please, if you got this far, thumbs up the video. Here right now. It's free of charge. It's free. Thumbs it up. Get in the comments. Let me know what y'all's thoughts are on this episode. Do not spoil this episode, even though I'm going to watch it anyways. But let me know what y'all think. Subscribe if you haven't already. We on the road to 10K. And I'll see y'all tomorrow, if not tonight. Peace.